putting this under administration for Public Works. John is not at the meeting today. Consider quote from Jewel Contracting of Hutchinson, Minnesota for $12,500 to lower a center line culvert on County Road 93, 190th Street, over County Ditch 32, approximately 4,700 feet east of County Road 15, Falcon Avenue. The current culvert elevation is too high as determined by a County Ditch 32 ACS IC survey. 3 other quotes were received from Jerpy, Rickert, R&R Excavating. The reason this is being added to the agenda is for timing and availability of the contractor.
All right, very good. Anything else?
Yes. The other addition is also going under administration for the 2021 non-union employer health insurance contribution. 1, consider approval of 2021 non-union health insurance employer contribution. 2, consider approval of 2021 non-union health insurance health savings account plan participation matching contribution. 3, consider approval of 2021 non-union wage scale adjust. Oh, I'm sorry, that's not part of it. Just 1 and 2. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, and then give it to me again. You're going to add those under administration?
Yes. Okay.
All right. Hearing no other additions or corrections to the agenda, is there, excuse me, let's take a roll call of the commissioners that are here. Mike, would that be appropriate?
Sure.
Okay, all right. Commissioner Pohlmeyer?
Here.
Commissioner Kruger?
Here.
Commissioner Szymanski?
Here.
Commissioner Wright?
Here.
Commissioner Nagel is present. So now we'll move it back to the agenda. Hearing no additions or corrections to the agenda, is there a motion to approve?
Kruger moves on the agenda. Pohlmeyer.
Motion by Commissioner Kruger, second by Commissioner Pohlmeyer. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Commissioner Pohlmeyer?
Yes.
Commissioner Kruger?
Yes.
Commissioner Szymanski?
Yes.
Commissioner Wright?
Yes.
Commissioner Nagel is yes. Motion carries 5-0. Consent agenda.
Move to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Wright. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Szymanski. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. Commissioner Pohlmeyer?
Yes.
Commissioner Kruger?
Yes.
Commissioner Szymanski?
Yes.
Commissioner Wright?
Yes.
Commissioner Nagel is yes. Consent agenda passes 5-0. All right, we'll go into our COVID update. Health and Human Services. Barrett, good morning.
Good morning. All right, I've got a lot of information to share. So can everyone hear me okay? Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. So as of late yesterday afternoon, November 2nd, we had 699 positive cases and 1 probable case in McLeod County since the start of the pandemic. If you'll recall at the last board meeting on October 20th, I reported that we had 570 positive cases. So that's an increase of 129 in 2 weeks, or 18.5% increase in just 2 weeks. So that's fairly significant. And we continue to see that daily count rise. 49% of our positive people are male, 51% female. That's been pretty steady there. We have had 4 COVID-19 related deaths since the start of the pandemic. We currently have 4 residents hospitalized due to COVID. 615 people out of that 699 total are out of isolation, or 88%. And that seems to be going well with isolation. Our cumulative positive test rates is 4.3 for the county and 5.3 for the state. That has been steady, and we have been close in line with the state. The race of those testing positive, 60% have identified as white, non-Hispanic, 33% identify as Hispanic or Latinx, less than 1% for both Black or Native American, excuse me, and the remainder, which is about 5%, are not reporting a race. So we've had some changes, different percentages in their location of our positive 19 tests. So Glencoe is reporting 39% of our 699 positive cases, Hutchinson at 32, Lester Prairie at 11, Winstead at 9%, Silver Lake at 3, Stewart at 2, Plato at less than 1%, Brownton at 3%, and the remaining, which is about 20%, are not reporting a location. Let's see here. We ran some numbers on age. We thought that would be of a significance to the board. So ages 0 to 5, less than 1%. Ages 6 to 12 is about 3%. 13 to 20, 9%. Our largest group of positives is 20% for age 21 to 30. So that's our population we're trying to focus on. 31 to 40 is 15%. 41 to 50 is 14%. Our second largest age group of positives is 51 to 60 at 18%. 61 to 70 is at 12%, and those over 71 are at 7%. Our local public health continues to do the case investigation contact tracing. The hours that we have spent by McLeod County Local Public Health, 173 hours in the months of August and September. That seems to be going really well. Another thing that we're really focusing on is that county rate, which affects the schools. Last week, we were at 15.91. This week, we're projecting, it's not official, but we have some very smart nurses who've kind of cracked that calculation code. We're looking at 18.14. And next week, we are going to see a significant jump up to 34.89. What those numbers mean is anything above 30, it's recommended that elementary moves to hybrid and middle and high school move to full distant learning. So we are preparing and helping our schools brace for that and offering guidance and support to them. So I think that is all I had for my report, except for just an ask for everyone on the board and everyone in the community to do our part to help slow the spread. Please maintain your physical distancing, the 6 feet. Wear your masks when you're outside of your own household. Frequent hand washing. Get tested if you have symptoms. And please stay home if you are sick. So, thank you.
All right, thank you, Barrett. Any questions for Barrett?
Yeah, I have one. This is Rich. Hey, Barrett, when someone tests positive, obviously they are supposed to quarantine for a period of time and so forth. How do they know when they should either go back to work or be able to go back in the community?
That's a great question. Yeah. So that is something that the public health nurses, or if we don't get to them, the Department of Health, when they do that case investigation contact tracing, will talk through that with them. So you need to be symptom free for a certain period of time before you would return to work. And so working through the businesses and through local public health, we help the people who are positive know when it's safe for them to return. Could be a little different for everyone, but you have to be symptom free, fever free without any medication.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions? We have Kevin on the next on the agenda. Is he here today?
Kevin has no update today, Mr. Chair. He is not here today.
All right, very good. Sheila, go ahead.
Thank you. So our county facilities continue to pivot to respond to the pandemic. Obviously, today is election day, making that very complicated. We're thankful for Connie Kurtzweg, excuse me, our auditor treasurer and her team coordinating with Ken over at our North Complex in Glencoe and for everybody else throughout the county assisting in the election at their separate locations. Typically, the election results at the North Complex, and the candidates like to be there watching as those votes come in and seeing what's going on. Of course, we can't do that today. And so what we've done, if you go to our county website, www.co.mcleod.mn.us, you'll find a link in the announcements and in the quick links that will bring you to the Minnesota Secretary of State website results page. It's linked on there. We'll also put a link out on Facebook for those who use social media that want to check that out throughout the day and the evening. We continue to be impacted. Obviously, today we're on Zoom, attending this meeting virtually, and that is because we are at the courthouse today due to the election. However, we've encouraged our employees to continue their safe measures. Thank you to Barrett for giving us that update on what's going on in McLeod County, and we just ask that everyone continues to stay safe. And I will talk about the CARES Act dollars later on in the agenda.
Very good. All right. Unless there's any questions for Sheila, we'll move on with the agenda. Government Center update. Travis or Sam, are you in the meeting?
Yep, you got Travis today. I'll do both budget and schedule here.
Okay, perfect.
Progressing well on site. The quick budget update, and we'll continue to keep hearing me say this. We're doing very well. Not a lot of change on the budget. Really, at this point, we have a good contingency and general conditions line sitting there yet, allowing for going to continue moving through with the trades. So budget, really no update, kind of the status quo, just business as usual there. Schedule-wise, really now we're into this heavy finishes push phase. On site, we got a lot of the flooring going in, ceramic floor being installed, and carpet for the most part is installed everywhere. Going to be doing some wood wrap up. We have some cabinetry type finish stuff. Countertops, kind of the next big piece of the puzzle. And then mechanical, electrical doing a little bit of their wrap up yet, putting in some fin tube, any light fixture trim out type stuff, low voltage, those kind of little ancillary pieces. We're starting to hit that home stretch. Today, Scott and ISG and I did we're working on our civil punch list, walking the exterior of the building, checking over the parking lots, making sure that stuff looks correct before weather hits us here. And kind of that crux, we'll be starting to plan, furniture's next on the docket. And I know Sheila, Liz, and Scott have been working on that as well. So trying to prep that activity as we're coming in towards the end of November into December. That's kind of schedule. Things still moving along. Now we'll get into, the next big pieces for us are doing our inspections, doing our elevator inspections, certifying fire alarm, making sure all the life safety components are functioning correctly. Any questions on schedule?
Commissioner Kruger, Travis, you can go ahead and repeat the budget again if you want. I mean, as long as you keep that message, you can say it as much as you want.
Absolutely, it's a pleasure working with you guys on it, and it's fun when we can do those. Not every job goes that way, but it's rewarding when you can make it all come together.
Well, I don't want to jinx it, but you're doing a great job. The pictures I've been seeing, it looks good. Some of them went out, and other people have commented how good it looks. And obviously, the part about being on budget is the jelly on the bread. So we got to keep that up. So.
Yep. It's a beautiful space to me. Outside perspective, it looks like a great use of a property that was here already from our eyes.
Yep, Mr. Chair, I took a walk through the government center last week, and it was just fabulous. I think we're in for some really great working conditions for our staff once we get into the new facility. So, thanks to Sam, Travis, for making this project roll so smoothly.
Well, we appreciate it. It's a team effort by all. Absolutely, you guys' help all the way down the line makes it work.
Yeah, I've been getting
right.
Good comments also. So
But real quick, I do have a quick question and I wasn't sure on is there is a seal coat, or I mean, there's a final lift that goes on the parking lot yet. I was actually unclear. I had that question. Is there a lift that goes back on next spring?
Nope, we got her all this time. So you're right, Doug. That was our big discussion this summer. We were having some dialogue after going back and forth, and we resolved it with John's team on the highway end of things as well. We ended up putting all of it in and inspected it, did everything just the way we normally would. So it's fully striped and ready for use.
And that's what I kind of thought, but I had a question and I started questioning myself. And
Yep.
no, it looks good. And I thought that's what it was, but I wanted to hear it from you. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely. And you're spot on, because we discussed that probably at length, that we thought it might be best to just let it ride because we weren't sure at the time. But after, we had a little bit of good fortune with the weather. It held, late summer for us, even though it feels like it shocked us now. We were in time and things worked out. So then we did put it all in per spec and per plan. So, yep, great question.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much. And we'll look forward to the next update.
Yep. Thank you, guys.
All right. All right. We're at the Health and Human Services. Barrett, you have an agenda item for us?
I do. So I am asking today to consider the approval of the 2021 contract with Central Minnesota Jobs and Training Services, Inc., CMJTS, to provide Minnesota Family Investment Program Diversionary Work Program for services for McLeod County for a cost of $177,725 with funds from the Individual and Family Social Services budget. The 2021 contract cost is the same as the current 2020 contract.
Mr. Chair, I would move approval of the contract with CMJTS.
Motion by Commissioner Szymanski. Is there a second?
I will second that.
Second by Commissioner Polmeyer. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. Commissioner Polmeyer,
Yes.
Commissioner Kruger, Commissioner Kruger,
He's muted.
Yes, sorry.
that's okay. Commissioner Szymanski,
Yes.
Commissioner Wright. Paul, can you unmute and then?
There, yes.
All right, Commissioner Nagels, yes. Motion carries 5-0. All right, thank you, Barrett.
Thank you.
County Attorney Mike, you still there?
I am. It is time for a review of your county administrator. What I would propose that we do is do it at a closed session on November 17th. Prior to that time, I will meet with each of you either in person or via phone and go over what are the positives, what are the negatives, and any other comments that you might have. If that's acceptable with you, then we will schedule that for a closed session of about a half hour, 45 minutes on November 17th. We will do the evaluation and release a summary of that at our first meeting in December.
I don't think we made a motion, but is that acceptable to the rest of the board members? It is for me.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
very good. All right, Liz, if you're on the call here, help with Mike scheduling that, please. Okay, we are to county administration review of our calendars. Rich, go ahead.
Okay, since our last meeting, obviously we had the workshop after the meeting. I had a compliance committee meeting with Prime West, making sure that all the people are doing what they're supposed to do with case managements in Prime West Health. Had a public health and a planning commission meeting last Wednesday. Planning commission stuff, most of that will come on our agenda next meeting. Also had a EE&D committee meeting. And then I was able to do some of the a little bit of fun stuff with the Lions and Halloween for the kids in city of Brownton, and we were able to acquire pumpkins and have about 150 or more young ones come through the trick or trunk event in the city of Brownton, held outside. We had put about 150 goodie bags together for the kids, and they were gone in short order, and there was a number of kids came after that yet. So a great evening of letting kids have a little bit of normality in this time of stress and pandemic. Also, a number of conversations with people from the county on various situations, from the Kaminsky Bridge to the water and some of the other things that are going on. So it brings me up to today.
Very good. Commissioner Kruger?
All right, my last 2 weeks have been pretty much essentials. I've had obviously the after board workshop and Health and Human Services meeting. We had our CRF actually in-person meeting, talking some of how we're distributing the CARES Act funding. We actually had a meeting on the 22nd with all the stakeholders in McLeod County on our long-range planning and our how we want to proceed. And it was a great meeting. I think we have a lot of buy-in from all our cities and different things. And I'm really glad how that's coming together. I think Paul will comment a little bit, or I hope he does on his review. I had a WebEx on the Buffalo Creek watershed on Monday night, the 27th, my agenda review on the 29th. We did some budget committee work on the 30th. Yesterday, I did attend a SWCD board meeting, and I'm interested there in some things, because through drainage, we're working on on-land storage, and I mean, it'd take a lot of work, but I'm just trying to see some of the programs that SWCD and DNR and Bowser have with their grants, and it'd be great to try to put some things together to assist on land storage with drainage. I mean, that's the only way, in my opinion, that if we can get some funding to help out the actual watersheds, that's the only way we're going to get some on land storage. So again, everybody vote today and be safe. That brings us to today for me. Thanks.
Very good. Commissioner Szymanski?
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair. As the other commissioners have already stated, following last county board meeting, we had our workshop and our Health and Human Services Committee meeting. On the 21st, McLeod Treatment Program Committee or board met. We talked about the various things. We set our per diem rates for the 2021. MTP participation across the state has been going down. We're looking at financial alternatives at MTP every time we meet. On the 28th, we had the Public Health Advisory Committee meeting via Zoom, and we said farewell to Dr. McGinnis, who's been on that board for many years, and she is retiring from that board, and we met the new doctor that will be joining the Public Health Advisory Committee in the future. And then yesterday we had Supporting Hands Nurse Family Partnership Joint Powers Board meeting. We set our budget for 2021 with no increase in county contributions. Everything is going along fairly well with the Supporting Hands Nurse Family Partnership, even in light of the COVID. They're doing a lot of telehealth visits, keeping up their appointments with the clients, and it's going very well. And so that is all that I have, Mr. Chair.
Very good. Commissioner Wright?
I attended in the past 2 weeks, there's been two of the CRF committee meetings. I attended the first one in person. The second one I did not attend. Commissioner Nagel took my spot on that as I have a personal interest in one of the applications, and I'll be abstaining from that vote later on this morning. Budget meeting also met. Commissioner Kruger mentioned on the 22nd a long-range planning meeting, and I think we can highlight a little more of that when we get to item B on the contract with the 80 Advantage. And along with that, we also, Budget Committee had a Zoom meeting with some of the members and staff of Mid-Minnesota to create a little bit of unity on how they can benefit us within our long-range planning economic development drive that we're definitely engaged in now. Also met with yesterday, SWCD and Mike Young and I met with landowners or a landowner on 63 on some issues with benefits and drainage. And last week, High Island staff and our SWCD and I met with a group of landowners there on some water concerns and Baker's Lake, which seems to be going on decade after decade of issues down there. And Commissioner Kruger had mentioned water storage as a topic, and that is going to be a huge step in coming years and how to handle this influx of drainage and water issues that we seem to be having. And it's going to be a big topic. But that concludes my meetings for the past 2 weeks.
All right. I enjoy going last because everything's covered, so I don't have to really go anything. And the only thing I was going to add was that CARES meeting that typically I don't go to, but I did fill in for that. So with that, we'll move on to Sheila, unless you have something to add as far as committees. But other than that, we can start with item A under administration.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Item A, consider approval of the policing contract between the Sheriff's Office and the City of Stuart for the years of 2021 and 2022 at an annual cost of $124,217.60 and $124,176 respectively. Hourly cost for 2021 is $59.72. Hourly cost for 2022 is $59.70. The rate for 2022 is slightly decreased due to a lower average staffing cost, as well as a lower cost of some equipment that is used in the calculation. This was approved by the Stuart City Council on October 12, 2020.
Thank you, Sheila. Any questions for Sheila? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion to approve the contract.
So
Mr. Chair, I'll move to approve the contract.
I'll second it.
Okay. Sometimes it happens all at once. So motion by Commissioner Szymanski, second by Commissioner Kruger. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. Commissioner Pohlmeier,
Yes.
Commissioner Kruger,
Yes.
Commissioner Szymanski,
Yes.
Commissioner Wright,
yes.
Commissioner Nagel is yes. Motion carries 5-0. Go ahead, Sheila.
Thank you. Item B, consider approval of 80 Advantage's proposed scope for the Economic Development Strategic Plan update for McLeod County at a cost of $50,000 with funds from the countywide budget 01-003.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Yes.
This agenda item, finally, after years of working on several of us on trying to identify what does economic development mean for McLeod County. How can we get there? How can we start to advertise ourselves as a location for new businesses? And probably the most important, how do we continue a strong support for the businesses that we have here today? We've had, many tries at this over the past few years, and it's just hard to focus on it. And then we came across the 80 Advantage, and we have had an opportunity to visit with Janet 80 and her staff on a couple different occasions. And in my opinion, it is a step that we have to take in order to better be able to wrap our arms around what can McLeod County do? What can county government do to aid that business sector and to bring it into the future? And with the cities that we already have that are very well engaged in economic development, how can we as a county structure benefit those efforts? And last week we did meet with several stakeholders of across the county and had Janet come in and give a presentation about what her plan means, what are the steps, and what we needed to do with that meeting was kind of gain, I think, alignment. It was the key word that came out of that, so that everybody knew where McLeod County was going with this as county government and how we want to be here to help those efforts that are already well underway in McLeod County. I think that the information was very well received. I think that people that attended were very, very happy and anxious that McLeod County is finally taking this step. And this is, it looks to be an 18-week-long process of visiting with the communities, visiting with businesses, and then identifying a plan and some objectives and things where county government can fill in and really take that leading role. And I definitely think that this is a step that we have to take. And when this plan is done, this is something that is not going to get dust on it by sitting on a shelf. This is something that we have to stay well engaged in to maintain jobs here, to make sure and benefit our existing businesses and do our part in maintaining tax base and economic development here within McLeod County. With that, I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Wright. Is there a second?
Second by Commissioner Kruger.
Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. Commissioner Polmeyer,
Yes.
Commissioner Kruger,
Yes.
Commissioner Szymanski,
Yes.
Commissioner Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Nagel is yes. Motion carries 5-0.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I kind of missed my boat there trying to get in on the discussion, but if I may, could I just comment on the passage of this?
Sure.
I just want to echo what Commissioner Wright just said, and I've said this before, and it's a message I think we got to take out to our cities and to our townships, because using an old cliche, I guess this is not your father's economic development anymore. It's a long range plan. I think maybe it's just Addie, the programmer that we hired, but they have a real message. I mean, if we want to grow a tax base for businesses, it's coming into our transportation field. We're working up with Winstead and just about any community that a company is going to go into. It's either going to take better transportation or roads, whether it's for the plant or for living areas. I'm excited about this, and again, it's not what I think economic development was sold at years ago. If we're not ready for some of these smaller businesses, whether they come from the metro area or whether they're going to develop on their own, evolve from your community, we need something like this to be ready. The infrastructure, everything is so expensive that if they don't have someone like this to help along, you're just going to miss the boat. They're going to go somewhere else. So thank you.
All right. Very good. Okay, item C.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Item C, consider approval of health insurance addendum with the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, AFSCME, which is our AFL-CIO local union number 185-0 at the county, representing the Social Services Unit of Health and Human Services, effective January 1, 2021.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I move for the approval of the addendum.
Motion by Commissioner Szymanski. Is there a second?
Polmeyer, I will second.
Second by Commissioner Polmeyer. Any discussion? Carrying none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye. Or excuse me,
Aye.
we have to do a roll call. I'm gonna back that up. We have to do a roll call. Commissioner Polmeyer?
Yes. Yes.
Commissioner Kruger?
Yes.
Commissioner Szymanski?
Yes.
Commissioner Wright?
Yes.
Commissioner Nagel is yes. Motion carries 5-0. Sorry about that. I'm gonna push the CRF recommendations to the last item. So if I'm keeping track of that, what do F and then the add-ons, Sheila? Is that right? Is that where we're at?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Item F, notification of board workshop to be held following the board meeting on November 17, 2020 at the Glencoe City Center Ballroom, 1107 11th Street East, Glencoe, Minnesota. Item G, the Public Works additional item that we spoke about briefly at the beginning. Consider quote from Jewel Contracting of Hutchinson, Minnesota for $12,500 to lower a centerline culvert on County Road 93 over County Ditch 32, approximately 4,700 feet east of County Road 15. The current culvert elevation is too high as determined by a County Ditch 32 ACSIC survey. 3 other quotes were received. Jerpy Contracting at $13,300, Rickert Excavating at $24,450, and R&R Excavating at $46,172.
Mr. Chair, I move the approval of the contract with Jewel Contracting for the lowering of the culvert in County Road 93 for County Ditch 32.
Motion by
Kruger,
Commissioner Szymanski,
Kruger, I'll second it.
second by Commissioner Kruger. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll
Chair.
proceed to vote. Oh, yes. Go ahead, Ron.
All right, Mr. Chair, this is an issue for the landowners on County Ditch 32. They need additional maintenance on the ditch, and that maintenance would be fruitless if we didn't have this culvert at the right depth going through County Road 93. So I encourage all of our commissioners to support this issue. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. Commissioner Polmeyer,
Yes.
Commissioner Kruger,
Yes.
Commissioner Szymanski,
Yes.
Commissioner Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Nagel is yes. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The other additional item, H, to address the non-union health insurance contribution for 2021. You've seen several of our unions' health insurance addendums for 2021 pass through the board the past couple of meetings and today. This is for your non-union employees and is at the same amount of what those contracts, addendums have passed at. So 1, consider approval of 2021 non-union health insurance employer contribution of $828.69 towards single coverage and $1,385.67 towards family contribution. Both of those at a 4.5% increase, approximately, to the employer, and also $235.13 for eligible employees who choose the opt-out option for coverage, which is also at a 4.5% increase over 2020. And I'll handle the second part separately. So there'll actually be items H and I.
Okay, so we're going to take, yes.
I would move for the approval of the county employee health insurance increase for 2021.
Motion by Commissioner Szymanski. Is there a second?
I will second that.
Second by Commissioner Polmeyer. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. Commissioner Polmeyer,
Yes.
Commissioner Kruger,
Yes.
Commissioner Szymanski,
Yes.
Commissioner Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Nagel is yes. Motion carries 5-0. Go ahead, Sheila.
Thank you. Item I, consider approval of 2021 non-union health insurance health savings account plan participant matching only contribution of $500 maximum dollar for single plan participants and $1,000 maximum dollar for dollar for family plan participants. This is not an increase over 2020, and this is also the same amount that we have approved with the union addendums that you have seen. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I'd move to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Polmeyer. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Szymanski. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. Commissioner Polmeyer,
Yes.
Commissioner Kruger,
Yes.
Commissioner Szymanski,
Yes.
Commissioner Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Nagel is yes. Motion carries 5-0. Sheila, anything else?
No,
As far as-
I'm ready to go back to item D. Thank you.
All right, with item D, Commissioner Wright,
Yep. Mr. Chair and Board, I will be abstaining from the vote on this as I do have a personal interest in one of the applications. Mr. Young had advised that I definitely step away from the seat and sit in the audience during this part of the meeting. However, with the Zoom call, I guess the best that we can do is I will not be voting, and I'll turn the camera aside and then come back on at the end of the meeting for the adjournment. So unless there are any other instructions, I guess that's what I'll be doing.
all right, that sounds good. Thank you, Paul. All right, Sheila, go ahead and go over item D.
Thank you. Item D, consider approval of Coronavirus Relief Fund Committee recommendation for disbursement of funds up to the amounts recommended below or in the agenda upon receipt of documentation of qualifying expenses within program guidelines. If qualifying expenses are less than the approved amount, the lesser amount will be distributed upon approval. I'm placing some emphasis on this because some of our recipients have expressed that they're expecting the amount that's approved on our board agenda, but we have to have all qualified documentation in order to distribute those amounts. So the distribution amounts may be less than what you see on the agenda. The total disbursement amount recommended by the CRF committee for this round of disbursements is up to $496,186.10. The business and nonprofit organizations shown in the agenda are being recommended for approval up to the grant amount shown for McLeod County and participating townships and cities. Upon the board's approval for those receiving McLeod County grant funds, the business and nonprofit organizations shown will receive a payment of up to 50% of the approved amount. A second McLeod County funds distribution will occur this month, November 2020, after all of the applications are closed. At that time, the approved grant recipients will receive up to the remaining 50% of their approved grant amount. That's dependent upon the calculation of the remaining available funds and qualified expenses. Recipients of township and city funds will receive 100% payment upon approval by their township or city, first approved by the McLeod County Board due to fiscal responsibility of fund handling. Education partners who are approved for the grants receive 100% payment upon approval of recommendation to the board. They have already all been distributed to the best of my knowledge. Community resilience applicants who are approved for receipt of allocated McLeod County grant funds also will receive 100% payment upon approval of the recommendation from the McLeod County Board. Thank you.
Okay. All
Mr.
right,
Chair,
any
if you're looking
questions
for
or
a motion,
discussion?
if you're looking for a
Yeah.
motion, I'll move to pay the up to the amount stated in her address, sir.
All right, motion by Commissioner Kruger. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Polmeyer. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. Commissioner Polmeyer,
Yes.
Commissioner Kruger,
Yes.
Commissioner Szymanski,
Yes.
Commissioner Nagel is yes. Commissioner Wright will abstain. Motion carries 4-0.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Item E, we're asking you to consider the Coronavirus Relief Fund Committee recommendation to reallocate the below CARES Act, in the agenda, the CARES Act Coronavirus Relief Fund grant program applicants previously approved by your county board, moving them from the business and nonprofit fund to the community resilience fund. Community resilience applicants who are approved for receipt of allocated McLeod County grant funds will receive, again, 100% payment upon approval of the recommendations of the McLeod County Board. During our meeting last week with the Coronavirus Relief Fund Committee, we went through all of the applicants again and identified any that could be moved over to community resilience to increase the applicability of the grant funds and ensure that we're reaching as many people as possible with these dollars.
All right, very good. And all right, any questions for Sheila, or we can move on this?
Mr. Chair, I'd move to approve the transfer of these to the resiliency fund.
Motion by Commissioner Polmeyer. Is there a second?
Second by Szymanski.
Second by Commissioner Szymanski. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote on, or Commissioner Polmeyer,
Yes.
Commissioner Kruger,
Yes.
Commissioner Szymanski,
Yes.
Commissioner Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Nagel is yes. Motion carries 5-0. All right, I know I jumped around, so Sheila, help me out. Anything else that you have
Sure.
that needs to go
No,
before the
Mr.
board?
Chair, thank you. Nope, not today. Thank you.
All right, we are open forum. I am in the boardroom, and there is no one here looking to address the board. Anyone on the Zoom call wish to address the board? Any press relations? All right, hearing none, I look for a motion to recess to our next board meeting, November 17th, 9 a.m. at the Glencoe City Center. And if there will be some Zoom information or that, it's to be determined, and we'll get that pushed out. So is there a motion to recess?
Kruger moves.
Motion by Commissioner
Second.
Kruger, second by Commissioner Szymanski. Any discussion? Everybody, please remember to vote, and remember, we live in McLeod County. That means we're nice to each other, okay? Sheila, yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As you all know, we're on Zoom right now, and we're going to continue the workshop in the same meeting room. So I believe we'll stop until 10 a.m. and then start again. Is that correct, Mr. Chair?
Yes, we'll
Okay.
so we'll have a 10-minute, and then we'll go, but it's within this same call, right?
Correct. So you're either welcome to mute your video and your audio and step away. Otherwise, if you want to disconnect and come back, that is fine too, whatever you choose. But we will meet back at 10 o'clock, correct?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. All right. See no further discussion. All in favor? Oh, excuse me. Commissioner Polmeyer,
Yes.
Commissioner Kruger,
Yes.
Commissioner Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Szymanski,
Yes.
Commissioner Nagel is yes. We're recessed till November